Okay, so picture this $1 trillion, like all the money in the world practically just floating around up in the cloud.
Well, not quite all the money, but
Yeah,
yeah,
close enough, right?
it's a pretty staggering number. We're talking about the cloud computing market on track to hit $1 trillion by 2027.
$1 trillion with a T. That's a whole lot of digital turf being fought over.
You got that right. It's like the Wild West up there. A digital gold rush with some seriously big players vying for a piece of the action.
So for those of us just strapping on our digital spurs, who are the major players in this cloud war, and what exactly are they fighting over?
Think of it like this. The cloud is like a vast digital landscape, right?
Actually, I'm picturing it.
And the companies that control that landscape, the ones who provide the essential tools and services for everything from storing data to running complex applications, they're the ones who stand to gain the most.
So it's kind of like owning the railroads during the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, exactly. But instead of steel and steam, it's all about data and algorithms.
Data is the new oil, or so they say.
Data is definitely the currency of the digital realm. And in this new era of cloud computing, 3 companies have emerged as the major contenders: Amazon Web Services, or AWS, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud.
The big 3 of the cloud.
Exactly. Each with its own unique strengths and strategies, making for one heck of a 3-way battle royale.
A battle royale for the future of the cloud.
You got it.
Okay, so let's break it down, starting with the OGs, the pioneers of the cloud, Amazon Web Services.
Ah, yes. AWS. The trailblazers. They were the first ones to truly grasp the revolutionary potential of cloud computing. And they launched AWS back in 2006.
Back when most of us were still trying to figure out how to set a custom ringtone.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
AWS was way ahead of the curve, and that early bird advantage gave them a massive head start.
It's like they invented the game and then got a 5-year head start on building the best team.
It's a powerful position to be in. Imagine building a city from scratch while your competitors are still stuck drawing blueprints.
So AWS, they were the first on the scene, but what did they do right? What were those early moves that allowed them to become the powerhouse they are today?
One word: diversity. They didn't just dip their toes in the water, they dove in headfirst and built this incredibly diverse ecosystem of tools and services. Think of it like a one-stop shop for all things cloud computing.
So they were like the Amazon of the cloud even back then.
Exactly. Need a place to store your data? Boom.
Yeah.
AWS has got you covered. Want to run complex applications without having to manage your own servers? No problem. AWS can handle that too.
So they were catering to everyone from startups to Fortune 500 companies right from the jump?
Precisely. This approach made them incredibly attractive to a wide range of customers and really cemented their position as the early leader.
And that early dominance is reflected in their current market share, right? They're still a major force to be reckoned with.
Oh, absolutely. AWS currently holds about 32% of the cloud market share.
A third of the entire market. That's huge.
It's a testament to their early vision, their commitment to innovation, and their relentless focus on customer needs. But as you can imagine, the competition isn't just going to sit back and watch.
Of course not, because in 2010, a little company called Microsoft decided to enter the fray with Azure.
Right. And when you say little company,
Okay, maybe little is an understatement.
just a tad. Microsoft wasn't exactly known for their cloud prowess back then. They were more about those desktop computers and office software.
Yeah, I've got Windows 95 at home. Wasn't exactly the sexiest tech boast back in the day.
True. But let me tell you, Microsoft had a trick up their sleeve. They had a strategy that proved to be very, very savvy.
Okay, I'm all ears. What was their game plan?
They played to their strengths. Microsoft knew that businesses already relied heavily on their products.
Windows, the Office suite, all that good stuff.
Exactly. So they designed Azure to integrate seamlessly with that existing ecosystem. They made it a no-brainer for businesses to dip their toes into the cloud without having to abandon the tools they already knew and loved.
It's like they said, hey, you're already using our stuff. Might as well bring it all under one roof.
Precisely. Instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, they made it easier and more cost-effective for companies to upgrade to a cloud-based version of what they were already using.
A classic case of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it,
Yeah.
but maybe make it cloud compatible.
You got it. And that strategy has paid off big time.
So how is Azure stacking up against the AWS giant today?
Well, I won't bore you with the nitty-gritty, but let's just say Azure is currently holding their own with a very respectable 23% market share.
Wow. That's impressive considering they joined the party a few years after AWS.
And they're not slowing down either. Their growth rate is quite impressive, which tells you something about the power of that integration strategy.
So we've got the trailblazers in AWS and the savvy integrators in Azure. This is already shaping up to be a pretty epic showdown.
Oh yeah, and we're just getting started. Don't forget, this is a three-way battle royale. We still need to factor in the third contender, the data-driven powerhouse that is Google Cloud.
Oh, right. Google, they're not just about search engines and those self-driving cars anymore, are they?
Not even close. Google Cloud is a force to be reckoned with, and they're bringing their own unique flavor to this cloud war. But we'll dive into that right after the break.
Oh, right. Google, they're not just about search engines and those self-driving cars anymore, are they?
Not even close. Google Cloud is a force to be reckoned with, and they're bringing their own unique flavor to this cloud war. They joined the party a little later in 2011, but when they arrived, they came armed with something their rivals couldn't quite match, a deep, almost instinctive understanding of data.
It's true. Google's been wrangling massive data sets since the dawn of dial-up with that whole search engine thing.
Right. Long before big data became a buzzword, Google was living it, breathing it. They were practically swimming in data lakes while others were still figuring out how to build a data bucket.
So how did this data-driven DNA translate into their cloud offerings? What makes Google Cloud stand out from the AWS and Azures of the world?
Well, for starters, there's BigQuery.
BigQuery.
It's Google's cloud-based data warehousing solution. And trust me, it's not your average data warehouse.
Yeah.
We're talking about the ability to sift through billions of rows of data in seconds to uncover those hidden trends and patterns that would take your competitors days, if not weeks, to find.
It's like having a super-powered magnifying glass for your data.
It's more like having a supercomputer analyze your data while you grab a cup of coffee. BigQuery is a game changer for businesses that live and breathe data.
And it's not just about analyzing existing data, is it? Google's also a major player in the whole AI and machine learning game.
Absolutely, that's where their data expertise really shines. Google has developed some of the most advanced AI and ML tools out there, like TensorFlow.
TensorFlow, that rings a bell.
It's an open source framework that allows developers to build and deploy really sophisticated machine learning models, even if you're not a tech whiz. The takeaway here is that TensorFlow democratized AI. It made these powerful tools accessible to smaller companies, startups, even individuals.
So Google's like the Robin Hood of AI, taking from the data rich and giving to the data hungry.
I like that analogy. But in all seriousness, Google's open source approach with TensorFlow was a game changer. It lowered the barrier to entry for AI and ML, allowing businesses of all sizes to harness the power of these technologies.
Okay, so Google Cloud, they've got the data muscle with BigQuery and the AI edge with TensorFlow, but how are they actually performing in this cloud war? Their market share seems a bit lower than AWS and Azure, right?
That's true. Google Cloud currently holds around 10% of the market share.
Only 10%. That doesn't sound very impressive.
Don't let the numbers fool you. Google Cloud's influence goes way beyond that 10%. They're seen as innovators and thought leaders, especially in industries that are heavily reliant on data and AI.
So where are they making the biggest waves? What industries are really embracing the Google Cloud way of doing things?
Think finance, where real-time data analysis can make or break a trade. Healthcare, where AI is being used to diagnose diseases with incredible accuracy. Media and entertainment, where personalized content recommendations are becoming the norm. These are just a few examples where Google Cloud is making serious inroads.
So they're kind of like the cool kids on the block, the ones everyone's watching to see what they'll do next.
Exactly. They might not have the same market share as AWS or Azure, but they're definitely a force to be reckoned with. They're pushing the boundaries of what's possible in the cloud, and they're attracting a lot of attention for it.
Okay, so we've got our three titans. AWS, the pioneers. Azure, the savvy integrators. And Google Cloud, the data-driven innovators. This is shaping up to be one epic battle for cloud supremacy.
Oh, it's on. But remember, it's not just about who have the coolest tech or the biggest market share. It's about which platform can conquer the key battlegrounds of the cloud. The areas where the future of this technology is being decided right now.
Okay, you've piqued my curiosity. What are these battlegrounds and who's winning? Okay, you've piqued my curiosity. What are these battlegrounds and who's winning?
Well, one battleground that's absolutely exploding is artificial intelligence and machine learning. We touched on it earlier with Google's TensorFlow, but this is bigger than just one company or one tool.
Right. It's like AI is everywhere these days.
Exactly. It's becoming the backbone of everything from self-driving cars to personalized medicine to those eerily accurate recommendations you get on your favorite streaming service.
So how is the AI battle playing out among our three cloud titans?
It's a fascinating three-way race. Google, as we discussed, has a natural advantage here. They've been investing heavily in AI for years, and they've got some seriously powerful tools in their arsenal.
Like Vertex AI and AutoML.
Exactly. Those are just two examples of how Google is making it easier for businesses to build and deploy AI models without needing a team of rocket scientists.
So Google's trying to democratize AI, making it accessible to the masses.
Precisely.
Hmm.
But AWS and Azure, they're not just going to sit back and watch this happen. They're both investing heavily in their own AI capabilities.
So what are they bringing to the table?
AWS has SageMaker, which is a platform designed to streamline the entire machine learning workflow, from building models to training them to deploying them at scale.
Okay, so it's kind of like an all-in-one AI workshop for businesses.
Exactly. And Azure, they're leveraging their strength in data analytics to power their AI offerings. They're particularly strong in areas like business intelligence and predictive modeling.
So it's a tight race with each platform bringing its own strengths to the AI arena. But let's not forget about the human element in all of this. Who's actually building the applications and services that run on these cloud platforms?
Oh, you're talking about the developers, the unsung heroes of the cloud revolution.
The ones who speak in code and dream and algorithms.
Exactly. Attracting and retaining top developer talent is absolutely crucial for any cloud provider, and this has become a battleground in itself.
So it's not just about having the best technology, it's about winning the hearts and minds of the people who build on top of that technology.
You got it. And this is where Google Cloud's open source approach gives them a real edge.
Because developers love open source.
They live for it. Open source software allows developers to see the code, tinker with it, contribute to its development.
Yeah.
It fosters this incredible sense of community and collaboration.
But Azure made a brilliant move a while back by acquiring GitHub.
Ah, yes, the GitHub acquisition. That was a major power play.
GitHub, for those who don't know, it's like the social network for developers, right?
It's where they collaborate on projects, share code, showcase their skills. It's the virtual water cooler of the coding world.
So by owning GitHub, Azure basically has a direct line to the heart of the developer community.
Exactly. It's like owning the coolest coffee shop in Silicon Valley. You're guaranteed a constant stream of brilliant minds.
Smart move, Azure. So we've got the battle for AI supremacy and the quest to win over developers. What else is top of mind for these cloud giants?
Security. With all this data floating around in the cloud, security is paramount.
That's one thing you don't want to mess around with.
Not a chance. A single data breach can be catastrophic for a business, both in terms of financial losses and damage to their reputation.
So are AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud taking security seriously?
Absolutely. It's a top priority for all three. They're constantly strengthening their encryption algorithms, implementing advanced threat detection systems, and pursuing those industry-standard security certifications.
Because in the cloud, trust is everything.
Trust is the name of the game. You're essentially handing over the keys to your digital kingdom. You need to know that your data is safe and secure.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. The rise of the cloud, the key battlegrounds shaping its future. It's clear that AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud are locked in an epic struggle for dominance. But what does this all mean for the average person?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Here's the thing. The cloud might seem like this abstract concept, but it's actually impacting our lives in countless ways.
Even if we don't realize it.
Exactly. Think about how much we rely on the internet these days. Our social media, our streaming services, our online banking, it's all powered by the cloud.
So these cloud wars, they're not just some abstract battle in the digital ether. The outcome of these battles will have real-world consequences for all of us.
Precisely. The decisions these companies make, the technologies they develop, the standards they set, they all trickle down and impact how we live, work, and interact with the world around us.
It's like we're all citizens of the cloud now, whether we like it or not.
That's a great way to put it. We're all part of this vast, interconnected digital ecosystem, and the cloud is the infrastructure that makes it all possible.
This has been an eye-opening conversation. I feel like I've learned a lot about a topic that I frankly didn't know much about before.
It's been my pleasure to break it down for you. The cloud can seem daunting, but at its core, it's all about leveraging technology to solve problems, create opportunities, and build a better future.
And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into the cloud wars. But before we sign off, any parting thoughts for our listeners?
Just as the cloud is constantly evolving, it's a dynamic and rapidly changing landscape.
Yeah.
So stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, embrace the possibilities because the future of the cloud is ultimately in our hands.
Wise words from our cloud expert. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the cloud, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of tech.